Welcome to TechSoup. This is new member orientation and Q&A. We want to answer your questions, so make sure you have questions to ask. I'm going to go to the next slide so we can show how you can engage today. And if you've been a member here, you probably know a lot about our webinars. Our webinars are free, and we'd love for you to attend all our webinars. You can find them on TechSoup's website. But on the next slide, show you how you can engage. Basically, we would love for you to put your questions in the Q&A section. This is being recorded, so you're going to get the recording with the slides probably by later today or early in the morning. If you need closed caption, go ahead and type on the CC button at the bottom of your screen. There's going to be a survey with just 2 quick questions. If you would fill that out, we would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to turn this over to Nick Finn to take us in further. Nick, over to you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to today's TechSoup new member orientation. My name is Nick Finn. You just met the wonderful Aretha Simons, who produces webinars here at TechSoup. I run the global marketing stack here at TechSoup. I've been here for 10 years, so I have seen a lot of how the organization has evolved over the last decade, and how the sector itself, both in the United States and globally, has evolved and changed and responded to various global forces in that time. Today, you'll also meet with Kevin Mulhall, who's a senior account director with our customer success group, and then Kelly Garrett, who helps run our client services group here at TechSoup. But let's start with the big question on everybody's mind for this morning's webinar. What is TechSoup? And let me tell you, even after 10 years, every time I try to give my elevator pitch, it changes a little bit because we are always evolving and changing as well as the needs of the sector and as technology itself evolves and progresses. But let's start with some basic touch points on what is TechSoup. Here in the United States, which I think is where most of the folks on today's webinar are from, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have more than 400,000 nonprofit members in the United States. If you are working at a 501c3 nonprofit, you can join TechSoup as well and create a membership account. And in fact, I would encourage you to do that strongly if you've not done it already, because if you want to access the offers and resources that we're going to talk about in today's webinar, you must first be a member of TechSoup. TechSoup works to support nonprofits who are working with technology to build a more equitable planet. And just to tease this out, we have a perspective. We think that technology can be an incredibly powerful tool and can really do a lot to help nonprofits accomplish their mission and deliver their programs. But technology is not always easy, and that's why we exist, because we want to help you as you use it. One of the ways we do that is that we host a catalog of affordable technology products from a variety of big tech brands like Microsoft, Dell, Intuit, Adobe, and many, many more. That catalog of offers is very dynamic. It is always shifting and changing. And so there's always something new and interesting in that catalog that is fun for nonprofits to look at as a new tool that might be helpful to them in their mission and in their programming. Over the last I would call it 10 years really since I've been here, TechSoup has also been pioneering a set of services for nonprofits, because we know that adopting a technology product sometimes is only the start of your journey. Often it means that you now have a whole new work stream you need to complete. You have to onboard that product. Maybe you have to migrate data into it. You need to train staff on how to use it properly. Maybe it needs some back-end configuration. Often, and in particular for nonprofits, we don't have the technical expertise in-house to do all these things. So TechSoup is developing services all the time to support nonprofits as they go through the process beyond just getting a new tech product, but actually figuring out how to use it, right? And we'll talk more about what those services are. We also create educational resources to help nonprofit staff build their tech skills and expertise. And yes, this includes board members if you want training for them as well. Particularly around AI in the last 2 years, there has been so much interest in how to build staff AI skills, how to build prompts, how to learn what AI could be used for. And that's just one example of the kinds of educational content that we produce for nonprofits. And then, like most of you, we also deliver our own grant-based programming to help civil society use technology. And so at TechSoup, what that looks like often is we'll have these smaller grant-funded programs where we take a cohort of organizations, like a group, maybe 10, maybe 100, and we move them through an educational process, or we give them access to a great tool like Quad, which we'll talk about shortly. Um, but so, as you can see already, TechSoup does a lot of different things all the time. And like most nonprofits, we wear a lot of different hats across the course of a day. And from our experience, we have to, because the need for this kind of assistance in the nonprofit sector is great. And that's what we want to be doing all day long. So let's talk about a couple of key terms that matter here as we talk about TechSoup and nonprofit culture and technology itself, right? So as I've already said, the first key term you really need to keep in mind is qualified or qualification. The marketplace, the offers, the services that we talk about at TechSoup are available exclusively to nonprofits. Often the pricing in our catalog is more aggressive, like lower, than you can see on the open market because these are philanthropic offers from tech organizations themselves, right? But we can only make those available to nonprofits. So you need to go through a process at TechSoup called the qualification process, where you demonstrate to TechSoup that you are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And you go through that process by joining TechSoup. It's in the top right-hand corner of the website. Everybody can see that button. Once you have created your account at TechSoup and showed us that you are qualified, then you can choose a membership level with TechSoup. And on the next slide, we're going to look at that in more detail. But membership in TechSoup is really important, right? It's not like Amazon where you just show up, look at a catalog, buy something, and then you're on your merry way. We're a different type of organization than that. We want to engage more deeply with nonprofits. We want to have you in webinars. We want to engage with you with educational content. We want to help you understand and use the technology that you have as well as you possibly can. And that's what our different membership levels are really designed to accomplish. And like I said, the next slide, we'll talk about that. Another term that's worth bringing up is something called eligibility. Sometimes the offers in our catalog are only available to, let's say, much smaller organizations that have a budget below, for instance, $100,000 a year, or organizations that focus on a specific topic or issue, right? And so when those offers are constrained or filtered to those org sizes or mission areas, it introduces something called eligibility, right? So you may be a nonprofit, but you may not be eligible for a specific offer in TechSoup's catalog. I don't want to get too confusing about this, but as Kelly will show you later, when we look at a product page, there's a tab in there around eligibility that you should pay attention to. Something else you'll hear bandied around in a lot of nonprofit technology circles is the notion of digital resilience, right? This is something that particularly is talked about when there are grant-based programs that TechSoup is involved in, and it's what a lot of philanthropic grantees are really thinking about. But the idea of digital resilience is really making sure that your technology stack at your nonprofit can cope with change, can quickly respond to evolving issues, and as such, actually helps your nonprofit itself be more resilient and able to quickly respond to issues. And like a really low level example of this is, say you're a nonprofit that operates on the ground in an area that gets hit by a lot of like hurricane or tornado activity, right? Well, in the old days, if your office got hit by a natural disaster like that, all your record keeping is gone. All the things you rely on to know how your nonprofit is running is kind of gone. But in digital technology world, in the modern world, Lots of us have that data backed up in the cloud. In fact, that's where it lives, right? So all your accounting, for instance, might be in QuickBooks Online, and that's up in the cloud. So that means like a natural disaster that hits your office doesn't compromise your financial data. Like you have a resilient technology stack, and your nonprofit can continue at least to understand and operate its finances, right? And then finally is this term civil society, which you'll hear TechSoup in particular talk about a lot. But civil society is a phrase we use to describe not just in the United States, but around the world. It is this third branch of people who are not the government, and we are not big business. We're the people who find the gaps between those things and see where there is human need, right? See where there are places where neither the government nor business are solving what is an extremely important project. And when that happens, that's civil society at work. So TechSoup itself and all of you who work in nonprofits, we think of as comprising civil society, the people who are trying to make a difference, whether at the very local community level or in a global level on an issue like climate change, for instance, right? So that's what civil society means. And like I said, you will see that talked about in various tech philanthropic circles. So we just share that up front. That's what it means. Right. As I said, oh man, I got a fast mouse today. As I said, TechSoup has three different membership levels for nonprofits. And I want to pivot to those right now here and talk a little bit about what each membership level is and how you might decide which one is best for you. The first membership level I'll address is called DIY, or as we all know of the phrase, right? Do it yourself, right? There's no cost for a DIY membership, but it's also got some real limits around it, right? DIY membership gives you basic access to that TechSoup online catalog. And that's sort of about it, right? You still could sign up for a webinar here and there. You could read a blog post here and there. But really, the process of choosing the tech you want to use, adopting it, bringing it on board, you're doing it yourself, right? We provide you access to the product, but you are skilled enough to get it up and running. And for some folks, that's great. That's all they need because they are very tech savvy and they can just do it all themselves. But again, from our perspective, the real issue is like there's so much of the nonprofit world that doesn't have that in-house technical expertise. And so we have two other membership levels that we think speak in a better way to folks who need that additional help. The next one I'm going to address is called Boost. Boost has been around for a while. It's $99 a year for an organization, right? It's not a lot of money. But with Boost, you start to get a much bigger chunk of what TechSoup can do for you, right? So, one of the big things is we often have specialty items that come flowing through the catalog, like a limited time offer or an extra discount on something that may already be fairly affordable, but there's like a month-long promo or something going on. Those special offers at TechSoup are for the most part stored in Boost, right? So if you're a nonprofit that finds that you're often thinking about like another tech product that might be helpful for your staff, Boost is great because it gives you access to these limited time offers, and it's sort of a space where you can be a little more experimental without putting a whole ton of money into the game. So that's one great thing. Another piece of Boost that we're really doing well on these days is grant funded content and courses, right? So we start to talk about like the real educational ability of TechSoup to help train staff, help train board members, even volunteers on like how to use specific tech products, how to use AI, things like that. That is what you start to get in Boost as well. And so that's where we start to really understand like, there's more than just a catalog here, right? There is really an organization with expertise and life people who care about nonprofits, and we can help you. The third level of membership worth talking about is called Quad. Quad is a newer offer to TechSoup, a few years old now. It, like Boost, is pretty affordable, frankly. It's $200 a year. And as I've researched and looked around just in the past week at other nonprofit memberships, there's all sorts of orgs out there offering you $1,500 a year memberships just to join your organization. And in that context, like Quad is a real bargain. $200 for a year-long membership. You get 10 signups of your staff or volunteers or board members that come with that Quad sign up, and you get really kind of what I would call the full kahuna of what TechSoup can really do for you, right? So you get access to that catalog, you get access to the courses and educational materials that we're talking about in Boost, but then Quad itself is a dedicated space. It is an online community, and what we've built up there, and it's growing, is a space where nonprofits, for instance, who work in the same area of practice can talk to each other, and maybe they can discuss like exactly what tech platform are they using for their mission. And because nonprofits are not necessarily out competing with each other the way businesses are, in fact, we're often cooperating with each other because we're trying to address a particular social or community issue, right? The ability to exchange notes, share information, best practices, et cetera, is really, really valuable. And so Quad does that, gives you that space to do it. And then, as a result of having that closed space for Quad membership only, there's other high value educational stuff that goes on in there. In any case, to recap, yeah, you've got three membership levels that you can choose from: DIY, Boost, and Quad. Even if you start with DIY, you can always move up to Boost and Quad. But those are the three best ways we think that TechSoup can help you, is through those membership levels. Now, moving on from here, I want to talk about the TechSoup catalog and the TechSoup site at ts.org. And again, to reiterate, most of the folks on the call are already TechSoup members, but if you've not gone through the process of adding your nonprofit to TechSoup, you really need to do that. And you would do that with this join button up in the right-hand corner. So TechSoup.org is the home of the TechSoup United States presence, right? I'll just say that, like, we do have a worldwide global presence. We operate in 234 countries around the world. And this is another important part to understand, because our scope is not just limited to the United States. We are thinking globally about worldwide civil society and how technology can function in that way. So there's a breadth and depth of expertise in TechSoup that goes far beyond just the limits of the United States, right? Um, we have a whole host of great brands in this catalog. I want to talk about one that's been with us from the start, which everyone recognizes, and probably almost everyone on this call is using already, right? And that's Microsoft. Um, I'm going to just click on here, take us through to the Microsoft page on TechSoup.org, and just talk about what we've got there, right? I've mentioned AI a couple of times already, and you have to be sleeping under a rock if you're not hearing about it every single day at this point in your news feed, or in the various emails you might be getting in your inbox. But um, the AI offer that TechSoup has at the moment for a standalone AI tool is Microsoft Copilot. And it's available at $306 per license per year for a nonprofit, right? I do use it every day. I find it very helpful for sure. As AI and the buzz around AI came up, lots of folks at TechSoup had some very real conversations about, what does ethical use of AI look like? How do we make sure that we're using it responsibly, et cetera? And we've had those conversations. We have a use policy, and I can tell you on the end of that stuff, I find it extremely helpful every day, just as a place to query and ask questions that I haven't been able to get answers for. Um, Other Microsoft product that matters at TechSoup. So we have Office 365 and Microsoft 365. These are the online cloud versions of, well, for folks who've been around for a while, remember back in the days of CD-ROMs and it was just Word and PowerPoint and Excel. These are just the cloud versions of all that stuff that, frankly, I think most nonprofits who are working with Microsoft Office, this is what they should be working with, right? We have our own special pricing on this stuff. We help support it. And if you're a new nonprofit in particular and you have not onboarded Office yet, work with us on it. It's much less painful than it might be if you try to do it yourself. That's not the only stuff we have from Microsoft. Obviously, there are some much deeper things. We do have legacy versions and donated versions of the old Office Standard and Office for Mac versions, right? Um, we also have more sophisticated developer and server tools for Microsoft. If you're a small organization, these things may not be applicable to you. But in any case, if you're a Microsoft user, if there's things that you're bringing in or thinking about bringing in, check out the TechSoup catalog on Microsoft. I think you will find there's some things there that would be very interesting for you. Another big brand that we've worked with for many, many years is Adobe. Um, and you just give it 1 second here to spin up here. Particularly if you work in nonprofit communications, design, social media, print design, web design, all those things. You know all about Adobe Creative Cloud already. It is one of the standards of design and visual presentation of information, and it's available through TechSoup. We also have the Adobe Express premium plan in here. If you haven't worked with Adobe Express before, it is a sort of simplified version of Creative Cloud. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of Creative Cloud, but designed specifically so that if you don't have deep training in Creative Cloud, you ought to still be able to output some basic social media assets or other design and video assets using Adobe Express. Of course, we do have Adobe Acrobat Pro DC, and we have something called Pepe Photoshop Elements. But if you are working in comms for your nonprofit and Adobe products are something you should be working with, those licenses are available through TechSoup as well. A third example that I love to share is one of it actually today may be the most popular thing in the catalog, which is QuickBooks. It didn't take much for us to learn again during the pandemic some years ago now that there are still nonprofits out there running their bookkeeping systems, on paper with pencil or maybe in a Google spreadsheet. But truthfully, if you want a resilient nonprofit that knows exactly where its finances are, you really need to be using some kind of modern accounting system, and Intuit QuickBooks really does emerge as like the choice for the sector on that stuff. And so QuickBooks is available through TechSoup. And if you are thinking, again, if you're an early stage, just started up nonprofit and you're trying to figure out what your finances should be, please look at QuickBooks and think about maybe that's the place that you want to go. Right. So there are lots of other brands that have appeared in the TechSoup catalog or currently are in the TechSoup catalog. Here's a slide of what some of them look like. Like I said, the catalog is pretty dynamic. It is constantly changing with new offers, some of them on our platform, some on other platforms. And some of these offers may be out of the catalog at this point in time, but it's just an example of some of the brands that you find at TechSoup, and I just share it for illustrative purposes here. Now, for a long time, folks have thought of TechSoup as only a software place, but in fact, we have a burgeoning business line around hardware for nonprofits as well. And I want to talk about that here for a second. And there's one in particular that I really want to highlight for you, and that is refurbished devices. But just looking at the catalog online right now, so we have a pretty decent selection of affordable mobile devices, including these mobile beacon hotspots, 5G hotspots, which are extremely popular, especially with libraries. So if you're a library person on this call right now, like know that this is something that lots of libraries take from TechSoup. You can use them on site for internet connectivity. Sometimes in rural areas, this is something you can check out of the library and take and use in your wherever you're living or maybe a job site or something. But yeah, these mobile beacon hotspots are very popular. We have a whole variety of desktops and laptops. The brands here are HP, they're Dell, they're Lenovo. Same for monitors, right? Got those. lots of networking equipment, particularly Cisco stuff, which is pretty popular with nonprofits. A lot of folks come to us for. There's things like security cameras, sensors, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Includes printers. But one thing I want to just pull out here, if I can scroll to it. Okay, so we do currently carry the VR headsets from Meta, which are pretty cool. You know, if that's a new tech that you're interested in working with, that's worth taking a look at. Um, there is in particular a line of refurbished hardware that TechSoup provides access to that's worth highlighting here. So, you know, refurbished hardware really means that like you've got a computer system for a laptop, for instance, like it's not at end of life. In fact, it's perfectly functional. It may only be a couple of years old, but the big corporation that used that laptop doesn't need it anymore. They'll get moved to refurbisher partners, and refurbisher partners clean that laptop up, make sure the hardware is still functioning, wipe the drive, make sure the BIOS is working, all those things. And then those computers, desktops, laptops, are resold at a lower price than a brand new unit, right? This is, first of all, a way to make technology affordable, but also really blends into the social mission element of nonprofits, right? This is a green practice. We shouldn't be filling landfills with hardware that is still completely viable and usable, right? And so TechSoup was actually one of the original advocates for having green technology practices where we refurbish computers and use them until they are at end of life. Today, when you look on the open market, there's all sorts of refurbished partners out there and places selling refurbished computers. But, you know, this is a place where TechSoup has been a leader and really trying to push the tech economy into greener spaces. So I highlight it here because for a lot of nonprofits, refurbished hardware really is a place where you can save a little bit of money and also have a greener practice in your acquisition of tech. Moving on from hardware, I did talk about earlier how services are a new area for TechSoup that are really important because what we've come to really understand over time is, again, buying a technology product is really only the start of the journey. Often you have to really engage and get that configured. You have to install it correctly. You need to train staff how to use it. You got to migrate some data into that platform. And so we've been building out a set of services over time that help nonprofits do exactly that, especially when they don't have the technical expertise in-house to do it. I'm going to go quickly here to the live site, and I'm going to just pull down this menu here quickly for you to see. This is the services menu. It highlights some of the biggest picture services that we have in here. These include managed IT services, which is sort of a big comprehensive contract you can work with a TechSoup vendor on to manage your entire technology stack if you need that level of help. On the other end of the spectrum, there's something called Help Desk, where we can have a vendor support you troubleshooting one specific item. We have services to support nonprofits using Microsoft 365. Um, Probably our fastest growing service area at the moment is the just burgeoning desire for help on your website, right? I've almost never met nonprofit staff who say, "Oh, my website is awesome. It does all the things that I want it to do, and it's really easy to work with." Nobody says that. Everybody says, "Oh my gosh, my website really needs help." The thing is, I don't know how to do it. I don't know who to ask to do it, and I don't know if I can afford the help, right? So we have been working diligently for a few years now to provide a suite of services for nonprofits to help them with their website. Most of the time, that means like building out a new site. And to be perfectly clear, these are not free services. These all cost money. But again, they're priced for the nonprofit industry, and the service is provided by people who know nonprofits. Because nothing drives me crazier. I get emails all the time from all sorts of vendors who want to like sell me new services and stuff for TechSoup itself. the first thing they start with is telling me how my business needs to grow. And that's when I delete the email because I'm like, oh, well, you obviously don't know what we are. We're actually a nonprofit. I'm not trying to grow a business here. I'm trying to deliver programming and help the community, right? So when you get TechSoup services, you're getting them from people who understand that you're a nonprofit, you're a different organizational structure than just like a small business or a medium-sized business. And that really matters, right? Similar to website services, lots of nonprofits need help putting up digital marketing. Maybe there's a public audience that they need to attract to their services. Maybe they need to run ads. They need to understand how to do a better job with email marketing, things like that we can help with. Um, if you are adopting Intuit QuickBooks Online, for instance, there's a service that we provide that can help you migrate your legacy QuickBooks data from an old QuickBooks account into a new QuickBooks account. We do not have a service to move non-QuickBooks data into QuickBooks, but we might be able to talk to you a little bit about how that can be helpful. And then finally, as I've mentioned recently a few times, like AI for nonprofits, another huge growth area. And so we are providing services for nonprofits who are trying to explore and understand how to deploy AI, how to think about what's like use cases and ethical uses of AI, how to have an AI adoption policy within your nonprofit. If you go to this first item, which is the nonprofit technology services landing page, um, you can do some searching here for specific items that you want. You can scroll down and find other things that might be of help to you here. There's one that I'll call out here, which is get help with Google Ad Grants. I don't know, some of you may have been at NTC, the Nonprofit Technology Conference last week in Baltimore. I was there talking with nonprofits a lot, and this particular product came up several times. If you're a nonprofit that's using Google Ad Grants, you probably have found that it's actually hard to use the full $10,000 monthly allotment that you could use. If you need help figuring out how to do that, this is the service that can help you do that kind of stuff, right? There's some other things in here. This move to Google Analytics. And this is old now since we've got the new Google Analytics version up and running. But if you are struggling with getting Google Analytics up and running on your website, maybe think about that service. And then there's some specialty things like some nonprofits are using Salesforce, some nonprofits are using HubSpot. Um, on and on. So, services ready for you to take a look at on the TechSoup website if those would be helpful. Now, with that fast-paced view of a bunch of the things available on TechSoup.org, I want to now pivot a little bit and talk about some of the teams of human beings at TechSoup are here to help. And in particular, I'm going to highlight two here. The first is our customer success group. And the customer success group is here to, help you make sure that you get the most out of what you got through TechSoup, right? And help advise you, steer you towards other things that may be helpful. And so I'm going to bring forward Kevin Mulhall in 1 second, who's going to talk about customer success. And then after Kevin, you'll hear from Kelly Garrett, who is client services. And client services help you manage your relationship with TechSoup itself, right? So one side, Kevin's side, helps you with tech broadly. The other side, Kelly's side, helps you with your TechSoup relationship specifically. So with that, welcome, Kevin. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Really, going back to the earlier slide and some of the comments, like you pretty much encapsulated the work that we do in a nutshell. Particularly as it resides within our quad membership and the extended benefits. Some of the more enhanced features that are a part of that I wanted to talk to very briefly are actually on this slide. Our team, the customer success team, kind of newerish. I still like to use the word newerish in terms of TechSoup teams and departments. I think we just celebrated, I think, 4 years in last month. We have a combined experience in the field of actually probably closer to 30 years in terms of helping nonprofits, particularly from a technical lens. the ability to engage with us it comes again in the form of quad, or if there is something around pre-sales inquiry. Nick had mentioned a lot of products and a lot of services. The teams do, I think, a pretty good job of explaining what each and every one of those are in terms of product additions, features, and functions. But as we all know, technology runs very deep, and there are oftentimes trailing questions that we have. For example, does a QuickBooks Online edition do XYZ? Could be around banking rules, could be around importation or management of labels, for example, of group labels, restrictions or limitations around that. And this extends, of course, obviously to other items. Our team is there to answer those basic types of support questions. Don't necessarily like to use the word sale questions, but fundamentally that's what they are. Going back to the slide, our team specifically is certified in several of the areas in which we are working with members. I think it's personally very important. Some people may feel one way or another about certifications, but I think that having a high level of competency in what you're talking about is important. And TechSoup over the years has committed to that. Both myself and my direct colleague, Tony, are heavily vested in AWS and Microsoft areas. So we're always happy to engage and speak around those, particularly as it pertains to the areas we have in Quad. This is an opportunity to gain, again, valuable insights. We understand that TechSoup, as great as its catalog is there are certain functional areas where there may not be a solution that directly matches. We're certainly happy to field questions around that as well. Additional items that we discuss on are around RFPs. We get these, seems like probably 2 or 3x the amount that we had in previous years going in this calendar year in terms of people that are looking to scope particular purchases in the forms of requests for proposals. We're happy to view those. We're happy to field those if they're something that involve TechSoup. If you're working with another a partner to facilitate some type of request, we'd love to get our hands on those and see what those are. Because again, we want to make sure to advocate for you that you're getting the best deal possible, whatever the product or service is. That also obviously extends to scopes of work. We do also discuss, Nick had brought up earlier, the Google for Nonprofit ad grant. There is some complexity to that. We do have direct partners that provide support. This is something that we also at a high level do discuss, particularly within the Google nonprofit space within our Quad membership community. But just even basic general strategies around fundraising. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. We've had the luxury of engaging directly also with people that operate within our own development team to better understand and better be able to help communicate and speak on these types of things, because let's face it, things are getting more expensive, not less expensive, and having something in place, a mechanism in place to help generate funding to support specifically your technology needs is critical. And that's another area that we love to talk on, particularly and work with Quad members. With that, I'm going to kick it back to you. I will be putting my contact information, our team's contact information, into the chat.
All right, great. Thanks, Kevin. And yeah, actually, just I want to correct something that I did wrong a little bit earlier. The Adobe offers on the site are undergoing evolution, like literally today, actually. And so Acrobat Pro DC is not something in the TechSoup catalog anymore. So sorry for steering folks wrong on that. I want to bring up Kelly Garrett next with client services. Kelly is the person who can help guide you on managing your TechSoup account itself, right? And so her team is not going to help you troubleshoot QuickBooks or Microsoft or anything like that, but it is going to help you troubleshoot like your member account at TechSoup.org, making sure you can add authorized users to that account, maybe changing a credit card number, stuff like that. And so with that, Kelly, take it away.
Thank you, Nick. Welcome, everyone. So happy to have you here. Hope everyone's having a good spring and you're starting to get thawed out wherever you're located. My name's Kelly, as I was introduced. I'm the manager at TechSoup Client Services. That encompasses the customer service team, our cloud, Microsoft Cloud experts, and also our eligibility experts. Next slide, please. Perfect. So one thing I like to go over with everybody when we meet in these new member webinars is, how to self-serve a little bit. As a nonprofit ourselves, we're undergoing our own changes currently, as we've kind of mentioned, and we are definitely feeling the strain of resources. So there have been long wait times to get in touch with our reps via our live chat, which I'll go over in a minute. We also have a little bit of delays in the qualification times right now, and it's because it's kind of a changing environment out there for nonprofits. So like to highlight a lot of information that you can locate yourself, and then you'll be able to maybe move forward with requesting a product rather than waiting for a representative in our live chats. So first things first is, Nick was highlighting those program pages where you see the different offers for each nonprofit program and how you can click on each one of those to then add it to your cart and check out. Some important information I like to highlight is there is a lot of info underneath the name of the product. So right here is the QuickBooks Online Plus 1-year subscription that I'm using as an example. Underneath it, you'll see what donor partner or the corporate partner who provides this donation or discount. You'll see the category it's in. So say you're looking for accounting software. If you click on that link, that will take you to our accounting category, which you can access in the top left corner of the catalog. You'll see it there on the slide right now. So that's another cool way of saying, I do like this, but I'm not sure this is what I want. You can click on those categories and it'll take you to where you'll see other products. We've also got platforms. So multiple platforms means, Windows, PC, things along those lines. And format is online. So that usually indicates cloud. If it's desktop, that's an on-prem, doesn't have the cloud capabilities. Underneath there, you will see the price listed in black. And as long as you're logged in, that orange button is going to say add to cart. And it is going to call out which organization you're placing a request for. So we do allow folks to represent multiple organizations on TechSoup. We have consultants that, are helping out different organizations. We have places that have multiple branches. So they've each got an account and there's the director on each account. So you do want to double check that underneath that orange button when you're logged in, it does say the correct organization name if you are representing multiple organizations on TechSoup, which you can do underneath one member account. Beneath there, you will see it call out that there is some savings available with a Boost and Quad membership. In case you want to go check that out, it will have a link. And again, they've been Kevin and Susan have been dropping in their alias for you guys to reach out if you have any more questions about that membership. But you will see savings listed underneath there if there's an option in the Boost catalog. Beneath there is where you're going to find all of the product information that we have available. So you've got description on the left. Middle tab will have a different name depending on what type of product it is. This is a subscription product, so it's going to have subscription details in the center. And the far right is going to have the rules, eligibility, and restrictions. Something that can throw people off occasionally is the idea of, well, I was qualified, why can't I request this product? And so to be qualified for TechSoup and our corporate partners programs, you have to have that 501c nonprofit status for the US and or be a public library recognized in certain ways. From there, each partner is going to put their own eligibility requirements for their different programs or products. So, for example, a budget. Some corporate partners don't allow large budgets to request their products, or they'll say each product has a different budget range. What your organization does, the mission. Some of our partners are really focused in on certain missions out there, and it's just to help them focus their philanthropic goals. So, that far right tab's never a bad one to go and look at. If you're having any issues checking out and it's saying you're not eligible, it might be due to a couple different factors. Next slide, please. So that middle tab, I always recommend checking. That's usually where you can find system requirements for on-premise licenses. For subscription products, it's going to have really important information like how do I continue this subscription after year 1 or after month 1. There's also existing subscribers. So some of our partners have set up their offers to be only available to new subscribers. It's not available to existing ones, or you have to wait till your subscription expires and then you can renew at the nonprofit rate. Lots of nuances to the different programs and products. Each partner has set them up the way works best for their systems and for their philanthropic goals. So really important to make sure you click through each one of these tabs, review everything before you check out with a product, because most of our partners and TechSoup have a no refunds, no exchanges policy. Once we kind of send out your fulfillment information, it's hard for us to get that back. And so it means, now another nonprofit hasn't been able to use that license. So we do have a fairly strict no refunds, no exchange policies. So make sure you're reading everything you can first. Product page or offer page is a good place to start. And then we also have TechSoup support, which I'll go over in a minute. Next slide, please. So TechSoup support you can access in the top right corner of the website, www.techsoup.org. You can also access it by going to support.techsoup.org. And this is going to take you to this landing page, which is where you can find all of our support articles. We are in the process of moving things from support articles on the website to more into this TechSoup support space. So I do recommend reviewing the information here. This is where we're really putting our efforts right now to update our content and make sure everything is as detailed and accurate as possible. You'll see that there's 3 sections in TechSoup support. We have product support. So that's for general, that's going to have general product information for like download installations. It's going to also have each program. We're starting to build those out. So you'll see like Adobe's called out and there's some Adobe articles. There's going to be QuickBooks Online and Intuit articles underneath one section, Grant Station section. So if you go around in there, I highly recommend checking here for answers first. We do really try to make sure that any question we hear more than a couple times is in here ready to answer other members' questions or concerns. Next slide, please. Perfect. So Nick already kind of went over this, but just wanted to reiterate, TechSoup Customer Success is trained to provide account management support for TechSoup accounts. We can answer your eligibility questions. Why am I not eligible? Hey, I don't think my organization type's right. I need to update my budget. Things along those lines for eligibility. And we can also always help you navigate the resources we've got on the website and connect you with teams that can get into more consultation type services. So, with membership, we've got the TechSoup customer success team that Kevin's on, and they can set up a consultation to talk to you about membership and really spend that time with you on that topic. Whereas customer service is going to be more like, oh, here's the page where you can purchase it. Here's some information about it. Here's where you can get a consultation. So just remembering those kinds of levels of support. And then as always, the services and solutions are designed for you guys. It's out there to support your IT needs. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not IT trained. If you ask to speak to someone that's IT trained on my team, you're not going to get connected to anyone. That's not what our role is. But we can help you get connected with our services team for consultation. We can help you get to the different sections of like, hey, here's all of our Google for nonprofit related support services. Things along those lines. We can get you started for sure. Next slide, please. Perfect. So how do you get in contact with us? We have gone over several changes in the last couple of years just to better support the sector with the resources we have available. We are feeling the strain just like everybody else. As I mentioned earlier, it has caused some delays. We are still working with our members. You can still get in touch with us. And these are the 2 support articles I recommend going and reviewing when you're trying to get in touch with customer service. I am actually right now updating these articles to have some a little bit more accurate step-by-step screenshot guides for you all. But the idea is that basically we have a live chat available to you all. A couple years ago, we did have a call center, we had email, and we even had chat, email, and call center all at one time. And it was just, we realized it wasn't sustaining our members' needs and our ability to provide quality support. So we have moved fully into a live chat only support situation. When you join our live chat, which next slide, please. when you join our live chat, it's going to be the help bubble that's at the bottom of the TechSoup.org website. When you click on that bubble, it does say you're connected to live chat. And the first iteration of that, you are going to be connected with AI. So our AI bot's going to basically do what we would do if you were just looking for some general information. It's pointing out TechSoup support. If you type in like Microsoft, it's going to connect you to different support articles, all of that, so that you can maybe self-serve. Since we have had long wait times for our live chat right now. Once you've kind of poked around and you realize, no, I really need to speak to someone, all you need to type in is contact, agent, and we are updating our articles right now to call out all the different terms that will pop up a contact form. You're going to put your information in there and you're going to get into the live chat queue waiting for a representative to talk to you. So you will, once you fill out that form and submit it, you'll be in the queue waiting for a representative that is a real person, not AI, that will provide support to you. So we do kind of have a staggered approach to it, is AI first, then you can submit your info, then you'll be connected to a representative. We might also, when we get connected with you on live chat, we realize we need to follow up. We may ask for your best contact email address. We do still work by email. It's just not something that you can reach out to us originally. It's something that can continue support after the live chat as needed. And we do have options for you to download or email your transcript of your chat to you in case you want a record of that for yourself or for your organization. Next slide, please. Oh, I believe I don't have actually another slide. So thank you all so much. I am constantly, in our queues, talking to folks. You may talk to me in the future, not really in live chat, but I'm circling around the other places where folks reach out to us. So if you're ever looking for help and you're having trouble with the live chat, we do have our forums, which you can post to. Myself and several other colleagues always keep an eye on that, try to get back to you in a couple days if you are having trouble getting through our live chat. So that's a backup option always. And we do appreciate our members' patience right now. It is very busy for us. And we do, again, have long wait times right now. And really appreciate how understanding and patient our members have been. And we'll expedite anything we can for you if something is urgent. So thank you all. And again, hope you're having a good spring.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And yeah, thank you everybody who attended today's webinar. A quick couple of reminders here at the end. You will get a copy of this deck through email. There are live links in there, so you can click through to the site and see like specific areas that I may have highlighted that are of interest to you. And again, a reminder, if you have not already qualified your nonprofit with TechSoup, you do need to do that before you can use the offers and choose membership levels, et cetera, with TechSoup. These are a very important step. Yes, Kelly.
Just to chime in on that, if you are waiting for if you're in qualification pending, which if you go into your My Account and you click on your organization's name, you will see your organization's details. If you check out with a request, which you can do while you're waiting for the qualification review, it will expedite the review. It bumps you up to the top of the list because there is some timing of, after 90 days, a request can expire. We want to make sure that if you put in a request, we can get you checked out with it. So if you are waiting on that or you're about to register, highly recommend going and grabbing that offer that you know that you want right away. And then that will help us prioritize your registration as needed.
Thanks, Kelly. And then just a final thought before folks go. I just do want to say thank you to each of you, not just for attending today, actually, but for making the choice that you made to work in the nonprofit sector. Most of us doing this work are doing it because we want to build a stronger community, maybe at the ground level, grassroots level, or even in a global sense as well. But it takes a particular effort to do that kind of work. It doesn't take much right now to see like sometimes how much nonprofits can be misunderstood in the media and described in ways that are not at all accurate as to what their actual mission and the work that they're trying to do is. So yeah, thank you for the work that you're doing. What I've really tried to emphasize today is we are one of you. We're a nonprofit ourselves. And we're really committed to helping you, whatever your mission area is, helping you to use technology to just do better there, to deliver your programs, to execute on your mission, to build a more resilient organization. So even if you didn't find the specific thing on the site that you were looking for, reach out to us anyway, because one thing that we do is we try to bend and flex and adjust and help people, right? Not just say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that. So again, thanks for your time today. Watch out for that email with the deck in there. And I sure hope that we see you somewhere working, interacting with TechSoup, and that we're able to help you. So with that, we'll end today's webinar. Thank you so much.